Hello there, my name is Crimmy, and today I will be showing you how to start off in a very beginner mindset of how to run all keycards of Whiplash here on the PlayStation 2 emulator. And with this in mind, I'm going to give you a good briefing of the overall menu before we actually dive into the gameplay. So with that in mind, I'm just going to let you know that when you first start off with a profile, there will be a different types of icons you can choose for you to start off your journey or your adventure, whatever the run might be, whatever the route might be. But specifically in mind for this video, it'll mostly just be all key cards. So, go ahead, choose whatever icon you want, and then make sure you remember and memorize of whatever that icon you chose, such as like this one, would be your all key cards run. And once you actually make a file, you want to get to the point where the game ends up in a vent. And that's where you're immediately put into gameplay. And you slide down this vent and they'll just go into another cutscene. So before that ever happens, you want to see within that vent there will be a checkpoint that will prompt you, and when you immediately see that, the game will register that it saves. So immediately save at the very top when you go into the start menu and then log out. And then once you come back to this screen, you'll likely be here where you need to press start, then go to your user login, and then click on that set icon of that save file. And so with that, what I did was from that one that I have selected here, I copied that and I pasted the same file but above me. And so what that does is that it will allow me every time if I mess up on a run, I can delete that save file, I can just copy the one underneath and then just make a new save file to make a new run. That's essentially what this is if you mess up on a run, that's okay, because you can just delete that save file, copy this other one underneath, and then just make that new save file again, but just redo. You're just doing the same run over and over again. But that's repetition. That just involves repetition, time, patience, and a lot of other things that you want to take in consideration of when you run Whiplash. And so, like I said, this is for all key cards. I know I haven't done anything, and I'm just going to explaining to you what is happening. So what I will do now is I will show you visually on how to set this up, and then once that is done, I will show you how to save, log out, and then you'll see the whole process as it is. I know I explained quite a bit there, but don't worry, I will show you. So let's say, just let's just do it all from the start. So I choose my icon. Let's say we choose a HyperSnack. So I will remember that. And once we do that, the game will load. And once that goes, on your keyboard, if you want to do this, it speeds up the process. Hit F4. And then once that is done, the game will process all that up. And you don't have to watch all of this. So it just helps you. That way you don't have to, watch all of this. And you can just start the run immediately. Quite a bit of cutscenes, quite a bit of cinematic here. So hopefully this will speed up a little faster. And by the time there will be a certain cutscene where they leave away from the guards, hit F4 again. That went a bit too fast, but I immediately pressed F4, or at least I'm sorry, I pressed start immediately when I did that. So it went really quickly, but if you saw it, there was a showcase and there was a checkpoint. They go really fast in here. And with that, that was sort of a bad example because I thought maybe it would slow down for me. But since I was still on the speed up there, that's sort of what happened. And from there, what you want to do is save. Make sure you save here. Log out. And then you're done. That's essentially what this is starting a new file on how to start this All Keycards journey. Just from that, let alone of how to start your file. And then with that, you want to go ahead, select, copy that, and make a new file. And now for this, and now for underneath the save file, you don't have to mess with that. You don't have to mess with any of that. Since it's already saved where we were, we can just completely run on a new save file. That way we don't have to mess with the original. Hopefully that makes perfect sense. And with that, I'm going to show you next is how to remove all your lives in the very beginning. And this will take time. This will take repetition, practice. It's not going to be easy, but I'll do the best that I can to explain at my own ability to help you further in a beginner sense to showcase you how to run, start it up, and get past the first main section. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, click the selected game file, and then confirm. And then there will be this whole loading thing here, and you're just gonna have to wait for a little bit until it loads into the game. So with that, I'm trying to hold back so that way I don't go all the way down to the vent. So there's going to be a few things that you may need to remember in order to get around in the facility known as Genron. And there will be key inputs that you need to put on the controller. Thankfully, I have a controller here, which you can see. And if you can memorize the buttons that I'm pressing, you might be able to actually do it in a very beginner mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump and square, X and square. If you can mimic that, you got it. You're already like halfway there. And then once you do that, you want to quickly follow with the circle button. So I'm just X square circle. So once you kind of have a good idea with X square and circle, you want to quickly go all the way back to X. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine X and square. So as long as you have a good idea with pressing X and square, quickly go to your circle button and then extend it with 2 hops with the X button. That will help you successfully learn the triple jump. Or, yeah, I believe that's what it is, the triple jump. Just kind of showing you a few more times so you have a good idea on how to do this. X square, circle, and then hit X twice again. Whoops, kind of messed up there. And once you learn that, that is the most helpful way to get around Genron. I won't show you like the advanced method here yet, but later on I will. And that's using L2. Or you can use L2 or R2. But once you learn that X square circle XX, you'll be able to get around your first obstacle, which is here. I apologize if I'm still falling. I'm not in a specific area within Genron where it would make it a little bit more easier and digestible instead of it being this nauseating view of me falling or sliding down the vent. So what you want to do is use the same inputs that I've taught you, and you want to jump onto this pipe thing. I don't even know what you'd call it. A vent? Let's call it a vent. Once you do that, you want to do it again, and then mirror off to the left. Mirror? Veer. You want to veer off to your right. I said left. Veer off to your right, but you want to move yourself to the left. So I'll show that again. I'm going to log out and log back in. And then I'll just hit quick start, which is really nice of the game for giving that to you, because it'll just go back to your main save file you were at for the run, rather than having to go back into the user profile and then select that profile that you were just on. So X square circle, yep, X square circle XX on the pipe, and then move right and then move left with the with the left analog stick. And once you've done that, you can advance. But you want to do it very quickly enough to the point where the game doesn't register to the point where the game doesn't register you here. Can I say register? My God. And so, because there's a cutscene right here that will play and it'll give you a checkpoint. What you can do here, since you've learned, see, that's what you don't want. You don't want the checkpoint. What you want to do is evade that checkpoint at all costs. I think it will put me in that room. I think it will, because I hit that checkpoint. It did not, actually, no. So learn your learn those inputs again. And I've learned X and square is really helpful too if you hold, because it's a better jump than your standard X button. Yep, and I hit that checkpoint again. I think it's only if you don't hit the cutscene. Oh, I'm up here. Okay, that's not what I wanted to show you. But the next part is getting around on top of this refrigerator here. I believe this is a refrigerator. And then just jump around the piping. And I'm kind of showing some different methods on how to get around. And it helps by if you tap X long enough, it gives you a longer jump. If you hold it, if you hold X. So I don't think this should harm me. And if you could tell, we have about 5 lives. We want those lives down to 0. And this will give us a good keycard routing to the point where... okay, I wish I didn't beat up that scientist, but anyway, I'll just continue with my with the mental notes that I know off the top of my head. So basically, you want all your lives down to 0, and what you want to do is just either die by the scientist, and make sure you don't hit the cutscene, or you can just die by the by this. I found it faster if you do it this way, rather than die by the scientist. Because once you die, it actually puts you back in the vent. But I hope in this case, it puts me back in the vent rather than in that cutscene. Or, I'm sorry, in where the checkpoint gave me. And then I'm spawned there, and then I have to watch... And then I'm forced to watch that cutscene, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm very close to that. And plus, since we're here... It didn't spawn us in the vent. So every time we go into this save file, it will spawn us there. We don't want that. We want to be spawned every time in the vent as fast as possible. That way, you can start your run in the vent rather than starting your run immediately by a checkpoint. That's not what we want. And yeah, that's not what we want. So essentially, just go back in your save file, and I might go a little fast on this so that way you have a good idea on what I'm trying to tell you and hopefully help you as a beginner. Okay, why did it spawn me there? Log me out. Might have to do another save file. I hope I did this correctly. Should spawn me in the... Okay, every time it's gonna spawn me here. That's not what I want. I might have deleted the original save file. Whoops. Here, let's just do this one more time, since I messed up. Let's just create it. Well, I don't want to do Spanx, because that'll confuse me. Let's do the dog. We'll do the dog. This is just a prime example of how... of what to do. I'm sorry, of what not to do. So let's go ahead and speed that guy up because I don't want to watch it. Okay. Once we did that, it'll give us a checkpoint. There we go. Showcase. That's a good example to show to beginners. So you save. Make sure you save. Log out. The game does have an autosave, but I don't really fully rely on it. And then once you do that, copy the dog icon, make a new file, and then play that one. And then hold scurry by L2 or either R2, whatever you prefer. If you make it before the cutscene plays, you did it. You successfully passed the scientists, and you passed the cutscene and the scientists. So as long as you don't XP farm, you're fine. Because if you XP farm, I feel like that would just be cheating in a sense. See? And then it spawns you here back in the vent. And then you just do that several more times until you hit 0. But don't fully die. Make sure you're still in the blue void. That's something you don't want. So it's a hit and miss with this one. As long as you don't hit the cutscene, you're fine. But you want to do that like several different times until you hit 0 lives. So this is technically the setup with how I used in the 128 record of my world record of Whiplash, All Keycards No Codes. So I'll just show you in action now. And when you die, it's like, it takes 1 key away from you. Yep, spawns you back in the vent. Just repeat. We're down to 3 lives. Now we're down to 2. And so this is the, like I said, this is the progress of how to set this all up. And Scurry, which is your L2 button, will definitely help you get this successfully, because everything's not rendered in yet. So if you take your time and you're not scurrying, you're likely not gonna end up getting this correctly all the time. But for the sake of this video, hopefully this is a good example of showing you how to setting this up. Cool. And that's it. It takes a bit, but it doesn't take forever to set the routing up. Because all you're doing is just getting down to 0 lives. You're not messing with anything else. You're not XP farming. You're immediately start at the very beginning of the game when you start the run. And then the last thing, this is something that I thought of doing, which is shutting everything down for Redmond at 0% and make all the feed in terms of HyperSnacks go to Redmond. That's it. That's basically the setup. Redmond for 100% of feeding throughout the entire game. You don't need to feed Spanx any HyperSnacks whatsoever in your run, because basically it's like a survival run necessarily, because you don't want to die. Because if you die with basically 0 lives, it will send you back to cafe or hub. And for this case this helps tremendously because of the reason why I'm making this my route. You don't have to do this. You can always do it the normal way, but it will likely cut maybe, I want to say, 10 minutes at best, roughly. And I'm kind of estimating I might be able to improve my world record from 128 down to maybe a 125 for all keycards no codes. That's just, like I said, that's just like a speculation there on that though. But this is my setup. This is what I do for this specific category. Make sure everything is up for HyperSnacks for Redmond, and then just die several times until you reach 0. And this helps with optimization for routing. That way that you're basically chaining 4 different departments, doing them simultaneously until you die at the last key card. And then you're sent back to cafe and you're able to do the last 3, which is pretty easy to do. But they are pretty hard in terms of having to get out of bounds and then finding those key cards, of just platforming in general. but we won't cover those until far later. But this is the very beginning of a how-to sort of guide, setting up your icons. I've logged out because I didn't save, so that way. So let's say oh crap, I chose the wrong one. Why why did it choose Spanx? Or did I choose the right one? Fuck. I kind of forgot. Uh, let's log out real quick. Hold on. I'm just gonna refresh my mind for a second because I kind of got lost in my own thought process here. So it loaded me into this because I wasn't in any other file, I guess. But once you save everything, make sure you save, because if you don't, all that progress is gone. So you make sure you save. You have your 100% feeding to Redmond and 0 lives for Spanx. Pretty easy, pretty simple. And then you just copy that same profile with like what I did with these ones, because this is basically the same one, but then I copied that one. And I'll kind of show you a good idea if I go into this file with what I did with the other one. It's basically the same file, 0 lives. You're already ready to go. I go into HyperSnacks. Everything's to Redmond. Everything is already set up for a run for that. And sometimes what I like doing is making sure nothing is altered. Like if I move, that's like a little OCD for me though. But I just recopy it and then there you go. That same thing. And that's it. That's my setup. Hopefully it's not too convoluted, not too complicated, but in a sense where you might be able to get into this category with me and other runners too.